Hey guys, it's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe. So, this is a review on a film I just finished watching called Sweetback's Badass Song. This is a 1971 blaxploitation action thriller written, co-produced, scored, edited, directed, and starring Melvin Van Peebles. Um, this movie has a Vinegar Syndrome release, I believe. It keeps popping up on Facebook in groups I'm in, so it's been on my radar, but I haven't until today had a chance to watch it. I'm a big blaxploitation fan. I think that it was an interesting time in cinema, in the 60s and 70s when these sort of movies, really more 70s, when these movies started coming out, even late, or even early 80s, but more like 70s. And there's a sort of goofiness to them and a schlockiness. Some of them can be a little more self-aware. My favorite person who made these kinds of movies is Jamal Fanaka. The Penitentiary series, the three movies, are my favorite in blaxploitation cinema. They're fun, they're action packed, they're strange in a way. So, anyhow, that being said, Melvin Van Peebles, as I said, made this film. It was about $150,000 budget, and it made 15 million. So they couldn't deny that this movie was a box office huge success. Um, the movie is about Sweetback, who is a male prostitute. They do these like sex shows, and I guess people come and pay to watch or maybe partake. Who knows? And he, I guess, is known for being this like amazing, lover or whatever. So he's sleeping with people on the floor while people watch. It's a little strange. This is, I guess, kind of coming off that free love BS in the '60s. So I guess there's a little bit of that going on. And the cops are there, and the cops need to pin something on someone so that they can at least look like they're showing an effort. So they go to the brothel, and they say to the owner or whatever, "We need one of your black workers to come with us just so we can say we think we found someone, hold him overnight, and then let him go." And I think they pay him or bribe him in some way. I don't. Maybe they let him continue on with his work with the brothel and not bother him. I don't know. I didn't catch that. So anyway, they end up taking Sweetback, and there's a lot of nudity in the movie. Nothing super gratuitous, but definitely there was probably some real sex going on in this film. But you don't see like guys naked really from the front. You're not seeing girls downtown really. You do see some hair, but nothing crazy. So anyway, they take him and they have someone else with them as well, and they start beating that guy, and they let go of Sweetback, and they uncuff him because they figure he's kind of in on it. He knows what's going on, so they let him stand up to the side while they're beating the guy, and he gets pissed off and he wraps the handcuff in his hand, and then I don't know if he kills or just beats the crap out of the two cops. Um, they may have said it and I may have missed it. And now the rest of the movie is he's on the run and the cops are chasing him for now hurting these police officers. The story is okay. Um, it wasn't extremely interesting, to be honest, and there's a lot of repetition. They keep asking, they kind of talk to people over and over in first person, and all these black people in the community like, we don't know who Sweetback is, or we don't know where he went, or it's just very repetitive. There's a lot of music playing throughout. Sometimes the music is repetitive. A lot of the times I find the dialogue to be repetitive. There's this one scene, I guess it was an artistic choice, where they're interviewing this older woman, and she keeps repeating herself over and over and over about maybe 5 or 6 times, and it just sort of wears thin. I think it's a very, maybe back when it came out, it was an interesting concept, the way they shot it, but now it's very repetitive in the way things keep repeating themselves. The story doesn't get extremely interesting. I mean, there is a little bit of tension between the black community and the cops as they're looking for Sweetback. One of the cops' cars gets lit on fire, and there's obviously some violence between the cops and the black community who are protecting Sweetback. Sweetback runs to Mexico, and one of the weirdest and best parts of the movie is he kills and eats a lizard raw, and he pisses on a rag and covers his gunshot wound that he got from the cops with the rag covered in piss, which doesn't help because pee is only sterile when it's in your body. Once it leaves your body, I believe it is no longer sterile. So that must have been some old misconception, but funny nonetheless. So anyway, this is the movie that they say kicked off the blaxploitation series, um, and I could see it was pretty sort of juvenile in its method, but it had some stuff back then that was probably interesting and new. At this point, it didn't do much for me, the film, and I know that's probably going to upset people because if you're a fan of blaxploitation movies, you probably love this one. For me, it didn't do too much. It took itself a little seriously, and the story just didn't do much. Like I said, the repetition, the constant nudity, and Sweetback sleeping with people just didn't. I didn't find it very interesting. Um, on the front of the movie cover, it says "Rated X" by an all-white jury. So, and then it says, "You bled my mama, you bled my papa, but you won't bleed me." There's a very strong, you know, anti-white, black, uh, fighting the man sentiment in this film, which doesn't, I mean, it was a different time then, and I think at that point, black people didn't have it, with the way they have it now. So they were pissed off and they were making all kinds of movies and media about it. So I get that. Again, I just think if you want really good, schlocky but fun and you know blaxploitation, I would go with the Penitentiary series, or even Street Wars by Jamal Fanaka, or MMA was good, and Brother Come Home, Brother Welcome Home, Brother Charles, that was good. So I just like him. I prefer his style of movie. A funny anecdote, or not anecdote, excuse me, a funny side story on this. Melvin Van Peebles, by the way, who is the father of Mario Van Peebles, the famous actor, who I think has outshined his father in a lot of ways in acting. He got gonorrhea while sleeping with one of the women in the movie. I don't know if it was during the movie or like afterwards, and he, I guess, sued or filed something and got money to finish the film because he took it as being injured on set, which I just think is very amusing that you willingly sleep with someone and catch an STD and then you sue for it. The other thing I found kind of funny about Melvin Van Peebles, just to go off track a little bit, is especially because this is a very like pro-black community sticking together kind of film, and he was a blaxploitation. He's the guy who started it, and I can't think of the word I was looking for, but he married and had Mario Van Peebles with a German white woman. So I thought that was kind of an interesting thing as well. I don't know if he's still, or maybe he wasn't married to her. I think he was, but um, either way, I thought that was kind of interesting that he's a very pro-black icon. He was married to her. They lived in Mexico and had Mario Van Peebles. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But it was an okay film. This isn't something I would purchase and or watch again. Usually, when I have a couple friends over and we have some drinks or we're laughing and we put on something that's a blaxploitation film that has that kind of schlockiness to it, it's funny. This didn't have that. So overall, I thought it was okay, but it's not something I would revisit. And back when it came out, it was definitely a big deal. Nowadays, I just don't think it holds up as well or as fun as other blaxploitation films. But I think this one was trying to be more serious and obviously make a point. Thanks, guys, for watching. It's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe. Be good.